It unexpectedly reflected the silhouette of the string. Chuenzi suddenly had a bright idea. The human eye can reflect the images it sees. If we look at that foreign victim video, close-up of the eyes, you should be able to see what the behind-the-scenes crew looks like. So they immediately used professional graphic processing software. Close-up of a foreigner's eyes begins to enlarge. Then remove the mistake. Soon a vague figure appeared. The image of the person behind the scenes begins to gradually become clear. Who could have imagined a live-action torture video? Behind the scenes filmmaker. It turns out to be the Special Forces instructor Zhao King. Chuenzi had long suspected the task force. There are insiders within the Red Scorpion organization, but they suffer from a lack of evidence. But the idea suddenly struck. Using the principle of corneal reflection, retrieve close-up footage of the victim's eyes. After magnifying it, reprocess the mistake. Soon, the figure behind the real-life torture videos is clearly visible. But just then, a cough came from behind. Immediately startled both Chuenzi and Lai Yanhong. Turning back, they were even more shocked. The person who arrived was Zhao King. He must never find the evidence on the computer. Lai Yanhong quickly pressed the main unit to force a shutdown. As Zhao King slowly approached, Chuenzi whispered nervously. He shouldn't have seen it, right? What to do? Lai Yanhong felt very anxious inside. Unclear. In short, keep your distance from Zhao King. Avoid the possibility of being abducted. Speak up. The two of them got up to go to the bathroom. What shocked the two was, Zhao King unexpectedly followed closely. Even the right hand reached into the pocket. Is Zhao King preparing to pull out a gun to kill and silence someone who will save Chuenzi and Lai Yanhong? But at that moment, Zhao King stopped in her tracks, suddenly turned to look out the window. The instructor, a king among Special Forces soldiers. Zhao King's influence is comparable to that of a pilot. Instantly lock onto the snipers, muzzle protruding from the gap of the opposite building. Zhao King immediately shouted angrily, "Quick, lie down!" However, Zhao King's body began to lean but did not fall down. The sniper bullet fired at a speed of 1,500 meters per second roared out of the chamber. In an instant, it struck Zhao King's heart. Chuenzi and Lai Yanhong immediately crouched down in fear, but saw Zhao King slumped on the ground. After Zhao King's phone fell to the ground, the four big characters above shone prominently. Hurry and leave. Right now, even with snipers watching closely. Chuenzi rushed up to Zhao King again. The deep scenery also felt the sound of gunfire. Call an ambulance immediately. But Zhao King's time is running out. Let's keep it brief. Recently, he was responsible for 2 real-life torture and murder videos. However, Chuenzi knows that there is more than just Zhao King when it comes to the Red Scorpion. But it was not spoken out loud. Suddenly, Zhao King coughed up a mouthful of blood, then said weakly, "You must eliminate the black spider. This is my last wish." Chuenzi quickly agreed. Zhao King urged Chuenzi with his last breath. "Chuenzi, you are a child with a clear sense of right and wrong, good and evil, and a strong spirit. But you must learn to protect yourself. It's a pity I didn't have the chance to teach you self-defense." The conversation ended. Zhao King died of despair. Chuenzi watched as brother Zhao was carried away by the doctor, heart full of deep sorrow and anger. At that moment, Shen Jingyuan walked over and said, "Don't be too sad, deist. Lao Zhao, over the years, he has been searching for the truth about his daughter Zhao Lingling's death. The suspect was convicted of manslaughter, but old Zhao believes there are doubts. I've been investigating in secret." Chuenzi also understood. No wonder Chuenzi noticed that Zhao Ji looked very depressed. However, the suspect's family is very powerful. Shen Jingyuan couldn't help Zhao King either. Seeing Chuenzi in low spirits, Lai Yanhong came over to apologize. Just now I held on to the string because I was worried there was still danger. Chuenzi understood. But now Chuenzi wants to help brother Zhao fulfill his last wish. Lai Chi, I'm sorry, but I can't assist with that. Afterwards, Chuenzi and Lai Yanhong are working hard, extracting victims of the torture and murder video. The person behind the camera reflected in the eyes, quickly compiled a list of 20 names. At that moment, the people from the Black Spider website. Warning to the Red Scorpion. This scene happened to catch the eye of the technology department's Lu Chen. Immediately order the subordinates to notify Interpol. Let them trace the IP address. At this moment, Lai Yanhong walked over, hand the list of behind-the-scenes crew to Lu Chen. This excited Lu Chen greatly. Immediately rushed to Jiangji to send a fax to Interpol. This time, we will definitely bring these people to justice and thoroughly eliminate the Black Spider by following the clues. At this moment, Chuenzi wanted to fulfill Brother Zhao's last wish. Prepare to investigate Zhao Lingling's cause of death, then embraced Lai Yanong. Ask him to help hack into the Donglin City Police Department's database, but to avoid affecting Lai Yanhong's future. This invasion used a connected computer. It wasn't long before they identified Zhao Yu as the murderer of Zhao Lingling. The records show that he was sentenced to 3 years in prison for homicide. But what's most infuriating is Zhao Lingling's cause of death was surprisingly due to being knocked down by Zhao Yu while he was drunk. Died from excessive blood loss from the lower body. This absurd cause of death can actually be valid. Chuenzi immediately stood up in anger. Over the years, Zhao Ji has always suspected that Zhao Yu is connected to He Zhizhu. The video is also mentioned in the case file, but did not become evidence in the case. This indicates that Zhao Yu's family holds significant power. Zhao Yu is likely also a member of the Black Spider. Such a person deserves to be stabbed 100 times. They only sentenced him to 3 years. Lai Yanhong glanced at the file again. He immediately said to the string, "It seems that Zhao Yu is full of tricks." Meanwhile, on the other side, Zhao Yu got into the private car sent by his father. Zhao Yu has been stuck in prison for 3 years. "I'm going to have a big feast now." The driver quickly said, "The dessert is ready. Ensure young Master Zhao is satisfied." What is frightening is, the dessert turned out to be 3 innocent girls. This man tortures and kills girls, and recorded videos for fun. He abused Special Forces instructor Zhao King's daughter, Zhao Lingling, to death. In the end, they claimed Zhao Lingling's cause of death was a scam. Died from excessive blood loss in the lower body. This person's name is Zhao Yu. The family's power is overwhelming. Surprisingly, he was released after only 3 years in prison. What is even more infuriating is, at this moment, Zhao Yu's subordinate, 3 18-year-old girls have been arranged for him to torture and kill. After arriving at the destination, Zhao Yu used the restroom outdoors. Suddenly, a man crept up behind me. Take advantage of the moment and kidnap it with a sack. After Zhao Yu wakes up, where else is the spring breeze so triumphant? Quickly begged the hero for mercy. But the man shouted angrily, "Did you kill Zhao Lingling?" However, Zhao Yu kept insisting it was just an accident. The man immediately pressed Zhao Yu, asking if he was one of the Black Spider's people. Zhao Yu was about to deny it, but the man rolled up his sleeves. There is a Black Spider tattoo on the arm. Both Chuenzi and Lai Yanhong were taken aback. Indeed, they are members of the Black Spider website. Zhao Yu is still struggling in the video. Suddenly saw the camera beside me. Suddenly shouted in terror, "Are you the Red Scorpion?" In recent days, the Red Scorpion has been waging war against the Black Spider website. Although the members are only Zhao King and this person, but they not only want to destroy the Black Spider website, must seek revenge for Zhao Lingling. The man brandished a dagger and shouted angrily at Zhao Yu, "When you filmed the brutal killing of Zhao Lingling, you should have known this day would come. A person like you deserves to die 1,000 deaths. Safe travels and no need to see you off. Only see the white knife go in, the red knife come out." The video comes to an abrupt end. This person is the Special Forces King brought out by Zhao King. Old instructor, I have fulfilled your wish. Bing Wan believes that Chuanzi and Officer Shen can eliminate the Black Spider. Next, the Soldier King is going to take revenge for Zhao King. At this moment, after watching the video Chuanzi, I can only hand it over to Officer Shen to handle. Zhao King may be dead, but the 3 remaining declaration of war videos. However, a member of the Black Spider took the initiative to reveal their identity. In addition to the videos of torture featuring Chuanzi and Lai Yahong, it turns out that 20 photos of the behind-the-scenes crew were extracted. Interpol quickly identified the relevant criminals, successfully captured all members of the Black Spider website. Soon, Donglin City will hold a commendation conference for the crackdown on organized crime. Later, Director Huang took the initiative to shake hands with Chuanzi, praising Chuanzi's fearless spirit and selfless dedication. However, at first, Chuanzi sought a waiver from Master Liao. "This is when I agreed to join the task force investigating the real-life torture video case." Now, Chuanzi has discovered Lin Tianming, thus leading to the Red Scorpion. Zhao King sent a declaration of war video featuring the Red Scorpion to Chuanzi. In addition, obtained photos of the person behind the scenes filming the torture videos. Overall, the contribution of the string is immense, sufficient to exchange for Master Liao's exemption order. At this moment, Director Huang suddenly let go of the string, started joking around with the gang. Zhu Dui from the side also came over to assist Director Huang. Every sentence is just a vague excuse. This made Chuanzi's anger surge. "We absolutely cannot back down now. These leaders actually dare to play tricks." Just about to speak the theory, but was stopped by the person behind. The person who arrived was the deist Master Luo Kai. As soon as I heard Chuanzi made a great contribution, "Let's celebrate," but discovered this infuriating matter. But as a seasoned veteran, Luo Kai said, "You must hold on, Chuanzi. Turning against Liao Ji now will only be disadvantageous." Qi Chuanzi is in a fit of anger. "I can't help but want to shoot Huang Ju and Zhu Dui." Luo Kai also understood Chuanzi's feelings. But now is not the time to act on impulse. Otherwise, all efforts will be in vain. We must endure a little longer. The conversation ended. They suddenly made a rattling sound. Luo Kidun felt surprised, turned to take a look. Chuanzi nearly got killed by Luo Kai. Luo Kai quickly released her grip. Blame her for being too excited. During this time, Chuanzi was busy with the case. Luo Kai encountered something more terrifying than a ghost. 4 days ago, Luo Kai was taking a shower. A strand of hair unexpectedly surfaced in the basin. What's even scarier is when Luo Kai drinks tea. A strand of long hair unexpectedly emerged from the cup. Luo Kidun felt something was off. Immediately searched the entire room, but found a piece of white cloth inexplicably appearing higher up on the wall. This indicates that a female ghost in white climbed the wall and left behind a white cloth, even using the sudden appearance of a hair strand to scare Luo Kai. So Luo Kai is sure that she is haunted by a vengeful ghost. Only the string can help her exorcise the ghosts now, because Luo Kai not only couldn't move out of that hotel, they must also disguise the fact that they know about the female ghost's existence. Otherwise, you might be harmed by evil spirits. Xuanzi smiled confidently. Leave it to me. Luo Kai immediately breathed a sigh of relief. Truly worthy of being Master Lio's top disciple. But Luo Kai did not know. Xuanzi concealed something. Based on what Luo Kai just described, Luo Kai is likely not haunted by a ghost, but a more terrifying possession by a ghost. Do you know why elevators are prone to hauntings? Because the elevator is suspended with cables that move up and down. Ghosts love long roads, just as red is the most prominent color in the ghost's eyes. Ghosts love to walk on long, narrow ropes. Moreover, the elevator shaft is dark and damp all day. This is yet another environment where ghosts love to linger. So elevators often have ghostly occurrences. It is only natural. Currently, Xuanzi suspects that his friend Luoki has been possessed by a ghost. So he specially called Luo Kai to accompany him down the elevator. Ghosts are just like humans. In the most familiar environment, easily let down one's guard and reveal one's true nature. So how can you tell if someone is possessed by a ghost? The simplest way is to take him to ride the elevator. But this process must not be revealed, because once the possessed person feels fear in their heart, the ghost can sense it, thus hiding away and no longer revealing its true form. In the elevator, Xuanzi secretly observes Luo Kai, but no abnormalities were found on him. Xuanzi let out a sigh of relief. It seems that Luo Kai just encountered a wandering spirit. But just at that moment, the elevator suddenly stopped on the third floor. A fat man came up. The elevator moved down to the first floor. The chubby guy immediately got off the elevator, rushed towards the restroom. Xuanzi and Luo Kai also exited the elevator, arrived at the first floor lobby. But at this moment, the hall was incredibly dim. Stepping on the floor of the hall, it feels as if I'm walking on the surface of the water. The sound of droplets creates ripples spreading out. Xuanzi then sensed that something was off. Suddenly, there was a wave of dizziness in front of me. Suddenly noticed the receptionist. It turned into the fat man from earlier. Xuanzi realized they had come to the wrong place. Immediately call out to the front, Luo Kai. Let him hurry back to the elevator. At this moment, Luo Kai also realized. The behavior of those around me is very strange. Walking to the elevator while following Xuanzi, while asking what exactly happened. Only said it was a ghost covering up. Tell Luo Kai not to ask too much and hurry up. At this moment, everyone in the hall, they all turned into the appearance of the fat guy from earlier. Fortunately, the two of them returned to the elevator just in time. As soon as I entered the elevator, Xuanzi panicked and frantically pressed the close button. Just as the elevator doors were about to close, a hand suddenly grasped the elevator door. Xuanzi immediately hugged Luo Kai tightly in fear. The elevator doors slowly opened. A drunken young man unexpectedly walked in from outside. Xuanzi felt puzzled. This person doesn't look like a ghost. But they had just clearly experienced a ghost cover-up. How did this drunk man walk from the hall into the elevator? Xuanzi suggested that they follow the drunkard to take a look. Let's see who he really is. Unexpectedly appeared from a ghostly concealed path. Then, the drunk man in the elevator on the 7th floor. As soon as I stepped outside, I stumbled into the corridor, crying like the mournful sea, "Kiki, I love you." Please don't leave me." The two of them were puzzled. Is this being troubled by love? The screams startled the hotel guests. Every one leaned out to see what was happening. At this moment the drunkard continued to walk and shout. Chuenzi curiously followed behind. At the end of the corridor a cleaning lady urged the drunk man to go home quickly. She softly said she didn't want to see. The drunkard listened. Immediately asked the cleaning lady where Kinking is. Even knelt down and hugged Auntie's thigh. Please ask Auntie to take it easy. Aunt told her not to disturb others' rest. So chaotic. The hotel will deduct her salary. The drunkard, upon hearing this, he immediately took out a wad of cash from his pocket and handed it to the aunt, saying, "This money is for you. Please let me gradually and gently." Aunt asked her to bring it back. This is something she can't help with. The drunk man stood up after listening. Suddenly, with a wave of his hand, a stack of thick banknotes. In an instant it danced all around. The drunken man lay on the ground. The cleaning lady had no choice but to bend down and tidy up, still muttering in his mouth, "If only this child could be a bit more reliable in what they do. The two of them shouldn't have ended up like this. Hurry and leave. Don't embarrass yourself here." Unexpectedly, the drunken man suddenly approached from behind. Take out a strangely shaped short knife. Pressing against the left wrist, I shouted, "Kinking, if you don't come out to see me, I will cut my veins." Chuenzi sensed something was wrong, hastily stepped forward to stop, but it was too late. Suddenly the drunken man brandished his knife, cut directly across the wrist. In an instant a stream of blue blood gushed out. This man's blood is actually blue. In order to get his girlfriend to meet him, a man doesn't hesitate to commit suicide by cutting his wrists in the hotel corridor. The man swiftly brought down the knife. In an instant a torrent of blue blood burst forth. The cleaning lady was so scared that she fell to the ground. Suddenly my friend Rocky behind me started convulsing. The child turned back to look. Unexpectedly, at this moment, Rocky had already vanished into thin air. The entire body was entwined with ghostly black energy. Oh no, this is possession by a ghost. Chuenzi immediately stepped forward to support Ryuoki. Ryuoki has fallen into a deep unconsciousness. Immediately knelt down. At this moment, the blue-blooded man behind him. He has already risen and is walking towards Chuenzi, walking while grimacing in despair. "You are all afraid of me. Every one is afraid of me. By Kinking, you have such a ruthless heart. Even like this, they still refuse to see me." Just speaking. The blue-blooded man walked past the messenger. He casually dropped the short knife used for cutting his wrist. Chuenzi just wanted to call out to the other person, remind him that he dropped something. Suddenly Rocky erupted beside me. Suddenly he gently lifted his head and roared to the sky. Meanwhile, Chuenzi discovered the short knife that the man had dropped earlier, lying flat on the ground, making a jingling sound non-stop. Then Chuenzi picked up the short knife and pointed it directly at Ryuoki's face. Suddenly Rocky rolled his eyes back, sweating profusely. It seems this short knife has a significant impact on him. Suddenly the group discovered that Rocky's flow wasn't sweat. Judging by temperature and smell, these seem more like water. Immediately after that, Rocky suddenly woke up. Chuenzi knows that Rocky is possessed by a ghost, but didn't dare to say it openly, afraid of disturbing the ghost within him. This makes the ghost hide within and dare not show itself. So he could only ask Rocky what he had just seen. "Why did I suddenly faint?" Rocky said he doesn't know what's going on either. "I suddenly felt a wave of dizziness. When I opened my eyes, realizing that I have fallen into a sea. The ankle was entangled in seaweed. No matter how hard I struggle, he can't escape. Later, Rocky sank completely into the water. I feel like I am about to suffocate and die. My lungs feel like they are about to explode. Later, I suddenly heard a ringing sound, and then suddenly woke up. Chuanzi shook the small iron ring on the handle of the short knife. Is that the sound of Rocky? Rocky took a look. Isn't this a corpse knife? The string actually has this thing. Chuanzi explained that this knife is not his. He immediately looked towards the blue-blooded man in the corridor. This knife belongs to that person. At that moment, the police officer from the station suddenly arrived. The pickpocket held a short knife stained with blue blood. Immediately have him raise his hands. Put down the weapon in your hand. Chuanzi listened and followed instructions. But it must be explained clearly. This is not a weapon, but it's a corpse knife. It was just brought by the blue-blooded man for self-harm. The police officer doesn't understand what a corpse knife is. Could it be used for dissecting corpses? He felt that the two were linked, clearly just fooling oneself. As they were speaking, the right hand instinctively gripped the explosive-proof device at his waist. Self-defense spray. Seeing this, Chuanzi finally remembered. He turned out to be the police officer who was hit by the fat man. At that time, he just sprayed the fat guy in the face with the spray. It seems they still want to use this trick. Could you please change that room? The spray in the officer's hand vanished instantly. The police officer was outraged. I have no idea how the spray got into the other person's hands. But Rocky returned the spray to the police officer and explained that this knife is indeed not a murder weapon. At the same time, there are no bad people here, so I hope he won't use this kind of thing to scare others. The police officer took the spray, thinking these people are somewhat mysterious. It's best not to provoke them for now, Xuanzi explained. That blue-blooded man, he came here to search for his girlfriend, Kinking. So let the hotel manager just help find the girl, and the problem will be solved. A moment later, the police called in the manager. But the manager said this blue-blooded man is just insane. They have never had a girl named Kinking at their hotel. If you don't believe it, we can call all the hotel staff and ask them. Absolutely no one has heard of it. But the blue-blooded man turned around and said, this manager is lying. Kinking is right here. I'm just avoiding him and not coming out. At this moment, Chuanzi also noticed that the manager seemed a bit off. Only this person's eyes shimmered with a dark light, and the hair looks like it has a layer of oil on it. This is a typical example of a Lu Gua Tu in disaster belief techniques. In modern terms, it's called Bai Jin Tu. Clearly, the hotel manager is making up lies to deceive the police. Dealing with such a person, Chuanzi indeed has a way to expose him. I'll teach you a trick to identify who is a Ma Pai Jin. Take a close look at this fat guy's hairstyle. There is a clear record in the disaster prevention techniques taught by Master Liao. This is called a hugging melon head, also known as Bai Jin Tu. People who like to keep this kind of hairstyle, most skilled at flattery and playing along. Lies flow as soon as they open their mouths. Chuanzi saw through the fat man at a glance. Just because he was lying, unconsciously release tension through expressions, tone, and actions. Additionally, hair is closely linked to vitality and spirit. Lies can also cause changes. For example, the color of the hair suddenly becomes dull and lifeless. Severe cases can even lead to instant hair loss. This situation is exactly what is referred to as Luo Jin Fa in the book. Upon thinking of this, The boy immediately raised his hand and shouted, "Comrade Police!" The officer instinctively glanced over. Little did anyone know the words from Chuenzi left the deist master, Liu quite stunned. Chuenzi shouted, "I want to record this manager's brain." Rocky never expected that Chuenzi actually had this kind of habit. And yet they speak so righteously. The officer felt that the informant had gone crazy. This big-bellied manager is also quite perplexing. Directly asked the string, "Do you still want to record my beer strength?" But Chuenzi doesn't care what they say, because Chuenzi is convinced that the manager is lying. "I clearly know the situation of that girl named Kinking," yet still lies to the police. Upon hearing this, the manager became even more anxious. The police also sensed something was off. She stood with her hands on her hips, questioning the manager. "Is what Chuenzi said true?" The manager quickly denied it emphatically. Chuenzi immediately roared in anger, "If you're not lying, now go ahead and record your hair. Absolutely going to handle it all at once." The manager was stunned on the spot. But who would believe such absurdity? "Let's do it. Who's afraid of whom?" He shouted forcefully at his own forehead. But the next second, the manager shouted in panic, "What is going on?" He actually held out a large handful of hair. "Why is it like this?" At this moment, the officer said sternly, "Go ahead and share what you know." The manager saw how the situation had escalated to this point. "I can only speak the truth." It turns out the noodle-haired boy's mouth is filled with clarity. She is his girlfriend. Last year they spent the night here, but I don't know what happened. Maybe it's a quarrel. The girl might have too strong of a personality. He actually jumped off the building to commit suicide. At that time, the hotel was worried it would affect its reputation. Only three-party coordination. Curly-haired man at home and in the hotel. Joint compensation for the deceased's family. I thought it would all end after death. Before long, the curly-haired man. He comes by every few days to see the girl. At first, the curly-haired boy's father still cared for him. But later, there was really no way, so I just stopped caring. The hotel no longer wants to manage it. The curly-haired man comes to cause trouble every now and then. The officer also thought this was a disturbance. Men with curly hair are generally hard to accept. The fact that my girlfriend committed suicide, went insane. But Chuenzi firmly believes that the curly-haired man does not have a mental illness, because he is a— The words were not yet spoken. The manager actually interrupted Chuenzi directly while he was speaking. "You're not a doctor either." "Why say it isn't so?" "Moreover, that guy has blue blood in his body. It must be some kind of rare blood disease. Caused mental disorders." At this point, the manager quietly said to the officer, "That guy might not be human. It's definitely not normal at all." At that moment, the curly-haired man suddenly rushed out of the room, shouting that he wants to see Kinking. The manager was startled immediately, even hiding behind the officer. "Look, he is usually like this. It's terrifying. You should take him for an examination quickly." But seeing a doctor is not under the police's jurisdiction, and the curly-haired man didn't harm anyone else. "We can only try to do some ideological work." But Chuenzi said, "He has a way to calm down the curly-haired man. All you need is a pair of scissors." Soon the manager brought the scissors, although I'm not sure how to make the skewers. But one can only treat a dead horse as a living one. The manager had long had enough of the curly-haired man, but for a barber, shaving the head of the deceased, kneeling to perform a cesarean on a living person, it's very easy to make someone calm down. But what surprised Chuenzi the most was, why was the curly-haired man unaffected in the ghost-shrouded hall? Also, why is the curly-haired man's blood blue? After all, according to common sense and science, the blood of a normal person must be red, only under long-term hypoxia conditions. Only red blood cells can appear blue-black. This is also a unique trait of the blue-blooded people. There are also some blue-blooded marine creatures. They rely on copper ions in the blood to transport oxygen. So what exactly is the situation with the curly-haired man? Thinking of this, Chuenzi has already entered the house, preparing to give the curly-haired man a clean six-part hairstyle. The girl jumped from the high building of the hotel in a fit of anger. Unfortunate fall resulting in death. The boyfriend was heartbroken. They come to the hotel drunk and cause trouble every now and then. To calm this angry drunkard, the barber planned to give this person a haircut. For a barber skilled at cutting people's hair, calming down an irritable person, it's as easy as turning your hand. Then Chuenzi pushed the door and walked into the lounge. Discover the young man who caused a scene while drunk. At this moment, it has calmed down a lot. Chuenzi tentatively asked, "Bro, I know this isn't the right time to say this, but I want to give you a haircut, if you don't mind." Before Chuenzi could finish speaking, the young man suddenly replied, "Ch," Kinking used to say that my long hair didn't look good. "Let me shave a bowl haircut." But I still refuse. Looking back now, the young man turned to Chuenzi and said, "Come on, just give me a buzz cut." From the texture of his hair, although it cannot compare to Lai Yaong's extraordinary abilities. But overall, he is not an unlucky person. Moreover, this person was able to easily agree to give Chuenzi a haircut. This also shows that his luck isn't bad. Uncle Lio once said very seriously to Chuenzi, "A con-traveler must never prioritize personal belongings." The barber is secretly using the kunxing technique. For example, when you see a pleasingly beautiful woman, you can't just give her a fortune hairstyle because of that. When you see someone you dislike, you can't just give someone a bad haircut because you dislike them. It's like a photographer of nature. You can't just like zebras. Just when the lion was about to catch the zebra, I stepped in to save it. Nature has its own survival laws that operate naturally. Any action that violates the laws will inevitably face divine retribution. At the same time, Rocky also said similar things to Chuenzi. It is said to be the method of Taoism passed down from the ancestor master. If it is used to uphold justice and help the poor by robbing the rich, it is bound to be smooth sailing. But if it were in a time of peace and prosperity, using it to steal property, the practitioner will eventually face retribution. Rocky had once witnessed it with his own eyes. The second senior brother, the strongest in the sect, once stole a priceless jade Buddha amulet and met with an untimely death. The next morning they discovered that second brother had long since died in the house. He was covered in scratches all over his body. Some wounds have even become inflamed and suppurated. Only the skin covered by the amulet remains intact. With the two people's stern warnings, Chuenzi certainly wouldn't dare to act recklessly. He moved swiftly like the wind, using a special kunxing dark wood razor. With a few swift motions, he shaved the young man's head clean. Then take out the silver needle and aim it at him. Beihu, brain guardian, Yanan. 3 acupuncture points are punctured. The young man struck fiercely, leaving no chance. The back immediately straightened and became still. The silver needles on her head trembled with a resonant sound. Immediately after that, the young man's eyelids drooped with overwhelming fatigue, let out a long sigh. After a long time, the string pulled out the silver needle. "How do the young people feel now?" The young man simply replied. He only felt a bit down in his heart. But I'm no longer irritated. It might have something to do with recovering from the alcohol. Chuenzi never expected him to say thank you. He also didn't plan to explain the detailed process of using the kungsing technique to him. So I just said a simple sentence. Maybe so. Since this young man is now awake, Chuenzi also has many questions he wants to ask him. First of all, Chuenzi was very curious. The young man kept mumbling about wanting to see his girlfriend kinking. But his girlfriend had died a year ago, the young man expressed unexpectedly. He knows very well that kinking is already dead. Chuenzi was quite surprised to hear this. He originally thought the young man was heartbroken over losing his girlfriend. This led to a mental breakdown. That's why he kept insisting on meeting his deceased girlfriend. Little did anyone know, the young man was fully aware that his girlfriend was already gone. The young man continued, although he knew his girlfriend had already died. But he always felt that kinking was still alive. Xuanzi felt, this person can't let go of his girlfriend. He feels the same way about this feeling, because he also has an ex-girlfriend he can't let go of. I often think of him. The young man looked up at the string of lights. They both felt a deep sense of empathy for each other. As the saying goes, reduce 3,000 worries. Transform into a speck of self-contentment. The young person expressed, I don't know if it's because the gang helped him cut his hair. He suddenly began to understand some things. So, thanks to Chuenzi for kicking away all these troubles. He roughly knows how to proceed on the next path, facing the sudden gratitude of young people. Chuenzi could only smile awkwardly, but then it inexplicably becomes melancholic again. The young man knows what to do now, but Chuenzi still didn't know how to save the book in the bath. At this moment, Chuenzi suddenly thought of another question. How did this young man just walk out of the hall obscured by ghosts? As soon as Keizai asked the question, then the young man exclaimed in surprise, Where's the knife? Where is the corpse knife I am wearing? After the wine-sober's buck, his biggest worry was the corpse knife, rather than a pile of cash. It is evident that this object is extraordinary. At that moment, the police officer came in and told him, the dagger covered in iron rings earlier. He has already been taken back to the police station by his colleague. The young person hurriedly stepped forward in panic. I need to go back to the police station with the officer to retrieve the murder weapon. The officer had the same intention, making a racket at night, disturbing others in the hotel. We have to go back to the police station to make a record. Just like that, the young man hurriedly left with the police officer. The issue with Chuenzi ultimately remained unanswered. Afterwards, Chuenzi found Rocky, who was a bit tired, squatting in the hallway. Rocky saw that he had completed the task. He suggested that they go back to their place together. The two walked through the hotel corridor. Rocky felt that Chuenzi had just spoken to the police. Still quite measured. Why did I become impatient when talking to those high-ranking leaders? Actually, Chuenzi doesn't want it to be this way either. But once things are related to Uncle Lio, his emotions will uncontrollably spiral out of control. Rocky felt that the skewers were like this. It's only natural. After all, Chuenzi grew up following Master Lio. Dig emotions. It's normal to lose control of your emotions. Rocky asked Chuenzi what to do next. Last time, Master Lio said, let Chuenzi not worry about his matters anymore. You should find a girl you like to marry and settle down early. Chuenzi felt that such matters also depend on fate, seeing Uncle Lio being sent to prison. He can't just stand by and watch. The days without Uncle Lio. He felt that life had become so boring. The big leaders agreed to the arrangement. will grant Uncle Lio immunity. I don't know if it can still be fulfilled. Let Rocky wait for him. At least for now, I haven't fallen out with those leaders. Life always needs something to look forward to. He suggested that Xuanzi should not overly rely on Uncle Lio. It's time for you to learn to grow independently. And knowingly, the two took the elevator to the first floor lobby. This time, the two did not encounter any ghosts hiding. At this point, Chuenzi suddenly had a spontaneous idea. I want to tell Rocky a story about ghostly concealment. Rocky expressed his willingness to listen attentively. He is, after all, someone who has weathered many storms. General ghost stories can't scare him at all. Then Chuenzi began to tell the story. This story. It all starts with an old man from a meat processing plant. Have you ever eaten pork possessed by a ghost? Pork offered as a tribute to the dead during the ghost festival. Someone actually sold it to the meat processing plant. So all the ghosts ran to the meat processing plant. This is a story told by the master of the deist sect, Liuo Kai, a ghostly tale of concealment. It is said that there is an old man who plays the drum at the meat processing plant, specially responsible for kicking out the neck blockage. Gun drum, meat above the rib. But on the 15th day of the 7th lunar month, the ghost festival, a batch of pork was received at the meat processing plant. The old man discovered there is a piece of pork with a bluish-gray patch on it. At first, he thought it was dust falling from the ceiling. Didn't pay much attention. Then, with a swift motion, he wiped away the dust. Then casually stabbed the pork with the kicking knife. I turned around and walked out to smoke a cigarette. Now, the meat processing plant has only the old grandpa left. It was indeed a bit lonely and unbearable. It would be even better with a beautiful woman by my side. The old man quickly finished his cigarette and was eager to get to work. Finished work and went home to find my wife. However, the old man had just entered the room. The person froze in place. Suddenly, a beautiful woman appeared on the chopping board, and the pork also disappeared without a trace. I only heard the beautiful woman call out sweetly, "Older brother, you finally returned. Someone has been waiting for you for a long time. Why are you still in a daze, big brother? Hurry and come play with me in the small woods on the back mountain." The beautiful woman unexpectedly grabbed the old man's hand. The old man was drooling on the spot. Has the beautiful dream come true? However, the strange events were just beginning. Haven't walked 2 steps yet. They unexpectedly arrived in the woods. The old man is still puzzled. Weren't you just here in the room? But in the next moment, the beautiful woman took the initiative to kiss. The old man was instantly bewildered. The savory taste of meat flooded the mouth. The old man pushed the beautiful woman away. I said, "Burl, where did that smell of meat come from on you?" Unexpectedly, the beauty lifted the old man's chin. Any man would be unable to resist such temptation. The old man directly embraced the beautiful woman and pressed her against the tree. However, the beautiful woman pushed the old man away. Then she said in a delicate voice, "Someone still has a knife stuck in them. Did you forget, big brother? Please help me pull it out." The old man focused his gaze. Isn't that his kick drum knife? The old man was instantly scared to the point of collapsing to the ground. He shouted in panic at the beautiful woman, "Are you a person or a ghost?" However, the beautiful woman just smiled. Suddenly it floated up. Suddenly the old man felt a wave of dizziness. Without looking left or right, only then did I realize this was no small grove. It's clearly a meat market inside. But that beauty turned out to be pork processed by the old man. The old man was so scared that he scrambled and crawled out of the meat shop, shouting loudly, "It's haunted. It's haunted. Then the old man resigned and stopped working. At this point, Yuokai couldn't help but tease. It seems that the old man is thinking about the girl. Then the wandering soul of the meat transformed into a girl, teasing the old man. Unexpectedly, Chuenzi said it was not like that, but that pig itself was meant for the rituals of the ghost festival, special offerings for the deceased. However, those ghosts have not finished enjoying. The ghost festival hasn't passed yet. Someone actually sold this pig to the meat market. As a result, those ghosts followed to the meat market. At this moment, Yuokai said, "So that's how it is." His face was drenched with sweat, but Chuenzi walked ahead without noticing. Continue speaking. Actually, those ghosts enjoying the offerings are not evil spirits. It's just a joke, really. At this point, Yuokai couldn't help but laugh. Did you just encounter a ghost in the elevator? They were all scared to the point of wetting themselves. Chuenzi helplessly shouted, "Ghosts are not scary. The scariest thing is when a person frightens another person." But just at that moment, Yuokai said weakly, "Chuenzi, I can't go on anymore. Carry me home, please." The conversation ended. Chuenzi turned around to look. Suddenly, Yuokai fell to the ground. Chuenzi immediately thought of the incident where Yuokai was possessed by a ghost. Suddenly realized that something was wrong. This damned ghost is possessing me. Possession all day long. Are you addicted now? In the secrets of Feng Shui, there is a type of compass called extreme shadow compass. This compass is not a portable compass used for Feng Shui, but rather an exceptionally malevolent Feng Shui configuration. The crucial point of the white tiger's visit, the direction indicated by the extreme shadow compass. It is indeed the path of the white tiger descending the mountain. Besides that, the extreme shadow compass has another function. That is to find a ghost. Right now, Yuokai is possessed by a ghost. Suddenly fainted while walking halfway. Chuenzi hurriedly helped him up. At that moment, the fake Patek Philippe on Yuokai's wrist gleamed with a golden light. At the same time, the hands on the watch face. It pointed exactly to midnight 12 o'clock. Right now, we must hurry to carry Yuokai back to the hotel, those haunted by spirits. If you leave the Rihan's land for more than a day, it will inevitably attract the resentment of the spirits. The ghost possessing Yuokai must think that Yuokai wants to escape from that hotel. So the urgent task at hand is to rush back. Let the spirits lower their guard. If only the lion blade could be kept close. These ghosts also wouldn't dare to be so reckless. But now, the lion knife has already been taken back to the police station by the police. It's really too far to go to the police station now. Time is running out. Chuenzi ran back to the hotel carrying Liuoki. The cleaning lady in the hallway was a bit surprised to see this. When Chuenzi passed by her, she quickly helped to cook a pot of glutinous rice. It is said to be used to save people. Suddenly, Chuenzi kicked open the door. She remembered that Yuokai had said before, when she was controlled by the ghost, once dreamed of sinking to the bottom of the water. Based on this, it can be inferred that the ghost possessing Yuokai. Who is it related to 9 times out of 10? In the hotel room, there is a strong, delicious flavor. It seems there's no turning back now. So Chuenzi place a cup of water on the windowsill. I hope to summon the ghost soon. At least let her leave Yuokai's body first. As long as the soul can leave Yuokai's body, Chuenzi has a way to save Yuokai's life. Before, Chuenzi was possessed by the grave ghost and became a noblewoman. If it weren't for Uncle Lio's timely intervention, Chuenzi may have already gone with the grave spirit by now. At this moment, Chuenzi suddenly noticed the shadowy little dog lying on the ground not far away. Since the moment the strings entered the door, Zio Quanzi just lay there motionless, as if someone had injected a sedative. Chuenzi just went up to check. It seems like they just fell asleep. There is nothing else the same. Additionally, the rat demon that enjoys consuming ghosts is also gone. Otherwise, their faces need to be even bigger. Yuokai said that the mouse demon went missing a few days ago. Still missing without a trace. During the time that Chuenzi left, everything is heading in a bad direction. Chuenzi sat patiently by the bedside. Time is gradually passing by. The white-robed water ghost still did not appear. If this continues to drag on, Yuokai's body definitely won't be able to hold up. So Chuenzi had to pick up the 3 books he had given, although I've read all 3 of these books. But Chuenzi still hoped to find a more effective way to break through. At this moment, Chuenzi accidentally stumbled upon a record about the corpse knife. The corpse knife is a large kicking horse from the Tujia tribe, a talisman used to ward off evil. The sound of clashing produced by several ritual instruments used together. It can produce unexpected exorcism effects. It seems that way. The young man who caused a scene at the hotel turned out to be a big troublemaker. Da Taimat is equivalent to the high priest. In the Tujia people's tribe, the status is quite high. Moreover, large horses generally possess the ability to drive away evil spirits. In fact, exorcism can be divided into hard exorcism and soft exorcism. A ghost like Yuokai, who has never manifested within the body, Da Taima can completely force the ghost to leave. It can even shatter the opponent's soul. But Chuenzi only knows about floppy drives. You must patiently wait for the spirit to appear, then ask him to leave. If I had known earlier, at that time, we should have let the young man stay to help drive away the evil from Yuokai. At this moment, Uncle Lio once told Chuenzi that comfort is important. This is what he specifically stuck together, because these few pages record forbidden knowledge. The current connection strength is still not enough. You still can't practice the content inside. At that time, Uncle Lio emphasized repeatedly, let Chuenzi never practice the forbidden techniques within. Chuenzi really wants to listen to Uncle Lio, but saving lives is the priority right now. Thus, Chuenzi ultimately tore open those pages of the sealed forbidden technique. Only the skewer was quickly flipped. Time is running short. He flipped to a section titled Extreme Shadow Compass for Summoning Ghosts. The child focused intently. Only the extreme shadow compass in the picture was visible. It was almost identical to the fake watch in Rocky's hand. The fake hat board that Rocky is wearing is a Patek Philippe. It was that night when I secretly broke into Team Zoo's house to steal. It is recorded in the book. The extreme shadow compass is an extremely dangerous item. The key points of the feng shui arrangement of the white tiger crossing the pond. As the saying goes, crossing the pond with a white tiger always carries risks. It turns out that at that time, Team Zoo's home had such a deadly feng shui arrangement. No wonder even Captain Zoo's dog is a monster. Additionally, another function of the extreme shadow compass is to find ghosts. Of course, the newly created things. Whether it's magnetism or performance, they will all be tainted by the energy of the yin ghost. But once you are engulfed by the yin energy, this is the object of great misfortune. Like Rocky, who carries it with him all day long, surviving to today is already quite an achievement. Afterwards, Aunt Beaji has finished cooking the sticky rice. Chuenzi served a bowl, inserted 3 sticks of incense. The books from back then were done this way too. Additionally, The walls around are still covered with talisman papers, to ensure everything is foolproof. After finishing these tasks, Xuanzi touched his hair. No signs of bad luck have been found yet. I suppose I am not someone destined for a short life. Therefore this calamity will surely be safely passed. Then Xuanzi bit his finger. Written on the yellow paper, talisman. Write a talisman to exorcise demons. He quickly grabbed the talisman and shouted, "Monsters and spirits, reveal your true forms quickly." As I was about to place the yellow talisman on the unconscious Lyuoki's head, but Rocky grabbed her wrist. "Have you heard of a ghost possessing someone? Have you heard of a person becoming a ghost?" The deist sect possesses an extremely terrifying forbidden technique. It can not only steal a person's desires and emotions. You can still steal from the creation of heaven and earth, even stealing from the ghosts and the kings. A human possesses the power to control ghostly forces, and Rocky mastered this method. But he pretended to be possessed by a ghost. Xuanzi is trying to rescue Lyuoki. Immediately bit his finger. Take the yellow paper talisman and write down the ghost-repelling spell. I can't even bother to wash with Windows stickers. Xuanzi roared. Show me your true form, monster. Transformation. Holding the talisman aimed at Lyuoki's forehead, ready to exorcise the spirit. But in the next second, Rocky suddenly grabbed his arm. Rocky glared at the kid and shouted, "What are you doing up all night, Xuanzi?" Xuanzi felt speechless upon seeing this. The restless spirits in this place are running too fast. Xuanzi can only say he is exorcising spirits for Rocky. Before the voice could fade away, suddenly a few barks of a dog echoed. Xuanzi immediately looked at Yengdu Zaya Xuanzi, could not help but feel immensely puzzled. The eagle dog can sense the dark energy attached to a person. "Why were you sleeping just now?" And now, surprisingly, they walked out without even opening their eyes. "Am I sleepwalking?" Then Rocky actually prepared to sleep. Xuanzi was quite puzzled. Wasn't it agreed that Xuanzi would come back to help Lyuoki exorcise the ghosts? How did you fall asleep? Could it be that Rocky has been completely taken over by the spirits? Has it completely turned into a ghost? Otherwise, why is there no negative energy on you? At this moment, Rocky suddenly stood up and sighed. "Xuanzi, haven't you figured it out yet?" Xuanzi was suddenly startled. "I still don't understand what happened with Liuo Kai." Rock spoke very seriously with his back to Xuanzi. "I am not possessed by a ghost. On the contrary, I became possessed by a ghost." Xuanzi was taken aback. "What kind of ability can possess a ghost?" Kelyuoki admitted that he was possessed by a ghost. "It all started that day when I went to Zhu Dui's house to talk about being a concubine." Rocky just entered the house and noticed the layout inside. It is the feng shui layout of the white tiger crossing the pond. As the saying goes, when the white tiger descends the mountain, there will be danger. This is a deadly feng shui setup, and then discovered a piece of jadeite. He immediately noticed the watch secretly aligned with the shadow compass. It must have been taken from a quartz. Rocky carried it with him without hesitation. The shadow compass has a function to summon ghosts. From that day on, Rocky wanted to possess a ghost one last time. And today Rocky finally did it. Xuanzi felt a tremor in his heart. Such things actually exist in the world. "Rocky, what exactly do you want to do?" Yet Rocky was unwilling to accept it. Just a petty thief stealing people's belongings. He also wants to steal the creation of heaven and earth and the realm of the dead. There is a forbidden technique in the deist sect known as the ghost path. Then you will be able to do all of this. Realizing Rocky's great ambition. Speaking of which, this is considered Rocky's personal matter. Then why trick the back? Xuanzi was extremely puzzled. Rocky turned to look at Chuenzi. Eyes shimmer with a ghostly shadow. He then said, "Because the strings will snatch away one's fortune. If Rocky learns the art of robbery, adding the art of ghostly ways, the effect of stealing everything in the world is self-evident." Chuenzi quickly looked towards the bookshelf. "Not good. Rocky is here for the 3 books passed down by Master Lyo." Thinking of this, the child immediately rushed towards the bookshelf. "This is Uncle Lyo's lifeline. Absolutely cannot let Rocky take it away." Just ran a couple of steps. Suddenly 2 red snakes appeared underfoot and tripped the string, and Rocky moved a finger. The strings were tightly bound around the feet, unable to be untied. Chuenzi immediately glared at Yuoki. "Why are you doing this?" "Rocky, you bastard." "I watched Rocky walk past me." Chuenzi quickly reached out his hand to catch him, but the next second those 2 red snakes suddenly coiled around the string, quickly tied the hands of the string tightly. Chuenzi could only watch helplessly as Yuoki walked up to the bookshelf, easily took out the book Fenmenkishu. Rocky casually said, "Chuenzi, do you know how much I've lost during this time?" Then Rocky sat down domineeringly in front of Chuenzi. He continued to speak arrogantly. "Did you think I came to ask you to be my mentor? You are too naive. Based on the skills you've shown during this time, the spells in these 3 books are quite good. It wasn't a waste for me to spend so much time." As soon as Chuenzi heard this, he immediately became furious. Angrily scolded Rocky. "Do you live up to Uncle Lyo? Do you feel worthy of your deceased grandfather?" Yuoki angrily said, "I must have extraordinary abilities. Otherwise, what can we use to deal with Luo Lao? You can't possibly understand my situation." With that he clenched his fist. The red hands on Chuenzi suddenly contracted. Rocky said, "This is a 6-flower knot. The more I struggle, the tighter it gets. It must also be untied in strict order, or cut it open with a knife. Just stop struggling." Ki Chuenzi was still struggling, questioning Rocky about what he did to Zaya Chuenzi. Rocky is also quite helpless. After all, the little dog is just too spirited. He had no choice but to use a sedative to control Zio Chuenzi. After saying that, he looked down at the string of beads. "They all say not to struggle any more. Otherwise, if I get choked to death, it won't be your concern, you know." I saw Chuenzi's face turn red from being choked. The neck turned a bright crimson, yet stubbornly shouted angrily, "Who asked you to meddle?" Rocky smiled coldly at the sight. He began to look at the sealing technique in his hands again. At that moment Rocky's expression changed dramatically. His hands turned pitch black. Even wisps of black smoke began to rise above. Who would have thought that in an ancient book? It ended up being covered in deadly poison. Loki flipped through the string of beads. The stolen sealing technique. But the next second, his palm suddenly turned black from the wrist, spreading rapidly across the entire palm like ink in water. The bound Chuenzi was very surprised to see this. At this moment Rocky was even more shocked and terrified. He tossed aside the ancient texts. Kneeling on the ground, suddenly shouted in panic, "What is going on? My hand is going to be useless." At this moment Rocky's hands were not only emanating dark energy, and it itches incredibly. No matter how much he scratched, it was all in vain. At this moment the 6-flower knot on the string suddenly came loose. At that moment Rocky finally realized, this ancient book is poisonous. He asked about did they poison the books? At this moment Chuenzi was also very confused. He flips through these few books almost every day, but nothing ever happened. "I don't understand. Why does Rocky change like this as soon as he touches the book? At this moment, Chuenzi suddenly remembered. Uncle Lio had specifically instructed him before going to prison, make sure he remembers that there are four things that must not be touched, including Rocky. Chuenzi remembers that Uncle Lio specifically emphasized the toxicity of Rocky's name at that time. And these four things, these are the three books, and a special razor made of dark wood used in Kungsin. Understanding Uncle Lio through Chuenzi, he would never go all out against someone. So poison was placed in the book. There will inevitably be a way to detoxify. And definitely with the intelligence of a string, you can find the hidden information. At this moment, Rocky is kneeling and pleading for mercy. Q Chuenzi, please save him. He shouldn't have stolen the book. Chuenzi ignored it, walked past him silently, stopped in front of the table. Chuenzi silently recited in his heart, I hope Uncle Lio hasn't overestimated his intelligence. He opened the wooden box on the table and began to search through it. He took out the razor that Uncle Lio had given him. The handle of this knife is made of dark wood. I hope this can help with the deadly poison on Luoki's hands. Then he handed the razor handle to Rocky. Let Rocky hold the handle of the knife and not let go. Luokai immediately stood up and reached out to take it. He held the razor tightly in both hands. In the blink of an eye, Rocky's pained expression immediately softened. Suddenly, Rocky gripped the razor tightly and sat on the ground. I admit my defeat this time. Then he asked Chuenzi again, did Master Lio see through him a long time ago? He will write a letter eventually. So poison was placed in the book in advance. Chuenzi expresses. Uncle Lio never explicitly told him to be wary of Rocky. Otherwise, he wouldn't have been stabbed by Rocky's knife. At that moment, Rocky was like a defeated rooster, thoroughly legged out. Chuenzi felt troubled seeing him like this. They have been through a lot together after all. Chuenzi had long regarded him as a big brother from the bottom of his heart. He, Chuenzi, never expected. Rocky's heart has never truly been with them. Afterwards, Rocky lowered his head in defeat and let Chuenzi take him to meet Uncle Lio. I admit defeat. He thought that Uncle Lio had gone to prison after that. He no longer had any rivals. Who would have thought? He is worlds apart from Uncle Lio. Look at him like this. The young man could only help him up and said, I can take you to meet Uncle Lio. Would Uncle Lio be willing to detoxify you? It all depends on your fortune. But in reality, Chuenzi knew in his heart, Uncle Lio will definitely help him with the antidote. I really want to put him to death. I won't use this irritating poison anymore. Afterwards, the two rushed to Dongling City prison overnight. Request to see Uncle Lio, due to previous passionate matters. Uncle Lio's treatment in prison is easy to imagine. I heard they are going to visit Master Lio. The people in the prison did not dare to slack off at all. Immediately processed their paperwork. Even the razor in Luoki's hand was an exception. Let him take it inside. This was something that couldn't even be imagined before. Later, Chuenzi finally understood. The people in the prison respect Uncle Lio so much. There is also a reason for it. During the time Uncle Lio was serving his sentence in Dongling, he actually helped settle a matter. A terrifying curse has been circulating in Dongling City Prison for nearly 70 years. Master Lio can easily subdue demons and eliminate evil with a wave of his hand. Even trapped in prison, one can still anticipate the enemy's moves. Before entering jail, I prepared against the deist expert Luo Kai. At this moment, Rocky fell into the trap set by Master Lio in the book. Both hands are stained with the poison of the goo worm, emitting a black aura. Only the gloomy wooden razor held by the barber. Only then can the pain be alleviated. Reluctantly, I followed Chuenzi to find Master Lyo that night. What is even more surprising is the prison guard actually allowed Rocky to hold a knife during the visitation. After meeting Master Lyo, Rocky called out Mr. Lyo with guilt, no longer shouting Lyo G as usual. But Master Lyo felt the sense of relief. Just come. Chuenzi indeed thought of using the dark wood to alleviate the erosion of the goo insects. But how could Master Lyo not know Rocky's thoughts? Rocky's grandfather was killed by Rocky's second uncle. He is mortal enemies with Luo Layar. Roki wants to learn the skills from the book, find an opportunity to assassinate Luo Lao-er. Little did they know Luo-er had taken a liking to Master Lyo's abilities, attempting to win them over. So Rocky felt very uneasy. Master Lyo cannot predict what will happen in the future, especially since Master Lyo is about to go to prison. We can only prepare for the worst. It's not certain that Rocky would really do this. Yuokai couldn't help but tremble all over. A feeling of guilt and grievance arose in my heart. At this moment, Master Lyo said, "What you have on your hands is a kind of curse worm called ink sac hand." It turns out that Master Lyo passed down 3 books on stringing, all smeared with the goo insect. Once an outsider touches the 3 books, soon both hands will be completely black like ink. Kai Yang. Rocky, your temperament isn't bad, and there is a reason behind it. I don't blame you. So Master Lyo only used this kind of malicious insect for harm. Then Master Lyo asked Rocky to give him the razor. Spread your hands out flat. The dark wooden knife handle just left my hand. Rocky Mountain's diet made him feel them all over, unbearable. But then I saw Master Lyo cut his finger with a razor. Fresh blood dripped onto the palm. With a tearing sound, the black mist around the blood quickly dissipated. Master Lyo said, rubbing hands together, "Just spread the blood evenly." Rocky quickly complied. Sure enough, a chorus of hissing accompanied. The dark energy in my hand gradually dissipates. Soon both hands returned to their normal color. Seeing this, Rocky immediately stood up seriously and said, "Thank you, Mr. Lyo. I will pack my things and leave when I get back. You will not see me again." After speaking, he turned and left. Chuenzi still didn't understand what Luoki meant. However, Master Lyo spoke up to stop. "Rocky, please let me finish first. Chuenzi is still young now. A person is bound to make mistakes. I need guidance from an old master." Chuenzi immediately trembled and shouted, "Uncle Lyo." Uncle Lyo was trapped in prison but still cared about me. Rocky looked at Master Lyo in disbelief. He has already betrayed once. Why does Master Lyo still feel at ease? Master Lyo said, "Rocky, you have great skills. Is it only for revenge? Is it really worth doing this?" However, Master Lyo couldn't comment on Rocky's personal matters. He just wanted to guide Luoki from the perspective of an elder. If it's for a hatred that's harder than reaching the heavens, even if it is ultimately achieved, it will inevitably consume too much time. Master Lyo did not explain it too clearly. Yuokai is a smart person. I understood Master Lyo's meaning. But revenge is something he must do. But please rest assured, Master Lyo. Rocky promised to take good care of Chuenzi. Master Lyo is also very pleased. Moreover, he didn't require Rocky to let go of his hatred. I hope we don't become so obsessed with revenge that we overlook other things. Chuenzi saw Rocky change his mind. I also breathed a sigh of relief. He then spoke to Master Lyo. "Uncle Lyo's exemption order will be issued soon. We'll try our best together at that time." Master Lyo listened, also praising the string, Tai Long Reservoir, Tai Sui brings wealth, and the Black Spider website. If these three major cases didn't have any connections, I'm afraid none of them can be solved. Master Lyo felt it was truly remarkable after hearing this. But Master Lyo caused the deaths of Pan Feng and his son. Not just a crime, was even more so by his own brother, Lyo King. Took away all the sports. This is retribution for the officials. Wanting to reverse it is like going against the heavens. The result is bound to be in vain. So these decades of imprisonment no way can offset Master Lyo, even for a day. Even if the exemption order is truly issued, there may also be other unforeseen events that cause it to fail. This is fate. He Chuenzi does not believe in fate. There will definitely be another chance. Master Lyo directly interrupted the conversation. I hope Chuenzi won't have to rush around because of his matters anymore. Having said that, he handed the razor to Chuenzi. Some concerns were expressed to Chuenzi. Luo Kai provoked the mountain friend. Remember not to eat raw meat and drink blood. 7 days later, we must see our mountain friend off. Rocky saw that Chuenzi had no reaction, quickly responded to Master Lyo. Master Lyo turned to look at Chuenzi. Then they came over again to remind. The strength of Chuenzi against the second person is overwhelmingly powerful. He is definitely trying to win us over with ulterior motives. Never promise him silence. At this moment, Chuenzi is very unwilling. He was unwilling to accept that he couldn't save Uncle Lyo. So we can never let Uncle Lyo worry again. Quickly said that they had never mixed with that kind of person. Uncle Lyo, you can rest assured. I will honestly open a barber shop when I go back. Living an ordinary life, but Uncle Lyo turned and left. Leave the final instructions. After you returned to the neighbor's room, you must not engage in anything related to hairdressing. That place is no longer ours. This is a terrifying curse that has circulated in the prison for nearly 70 years. The story was also heard by Chuenzi and the others from the prison's duty room. That night, Chuenzi and Luoki visited Uncle Lyo. The guard in the duty room was curious about the relationship between Chuenzi and Master Lyo. Chuenzi says Lyo Fan is his uncle. He spoke while pulling out a pack of huazi and handed it to the on-duty guard. Let him take good care of Uncle Lyo in the future. The prison guard, upon seeing this, was shocked and turned pale. Don't let Chuenzi shorten his life. I hope to have the fortune to help Mr. Lyo. Even the prison guards are hard to come by. How dare you still accept things from the gang? Mr. Lyo really helped them out at the prison. It seems Mr. Lyo hasn't talked to Chuenzi yet. The prison guards started gossiping. Mr. Lyo has accomplished something remarkable in prison recently. The prison guard might be referring to the incident with the Lin group last time. But the prison guard said no. This is an internal matter of the prison. It is said that this prison has a cursed cell. It's been several decades. Anyone who is locked in this room, the outcome is certain death. But recently, this curse was read by Mr. Lyo. The prison guard's words piqued the interest of the group. So Chuenzi wanted to ask him to explain it carefully. The jailer is on night duty tonight and has nothing else to do. Since we are all Mr. Lyo's friends, nature also cannot be neglected. So they invited the two to sit in the duty room. Let's have a good talk about Master Lyo's big event. As soon as he entered the room, the guard poured 3 cups of tea. Said politely, he also doesn't understand what Mr. Lyo did before, but he is definitely a master. He was still thinking about the opportunity to apprentice under Master Lyo. Talking to the police, Chuanzi wouldn't dare to shoot recklessly. I can only laugh foolishly. It should be fine. Just take care of Uncle Lio more often." The prison guard smiled reassuringly at Chuanzi. "Someone is here to visit. They will all unlock Mr. Lio's handcuffs. I will never make things difficult for Mr. Lio." After the small talk, the prison guard began to talk about that strange incident. "Let's talk about the origin of this matter. It all begins in a prison cell by the water. This prison was built in the 1930s. It was converted from a watchtower built by the Japanese invaders. The entire back of the building faces Chendong Lake. The guerrilla fighters were elusive back then, frequently entering and exiting from Zigon Mountain, passing through Chengdon Lake, launching a surprise attack on the enemy's stronghold in Donglin City. Once encountered by the enemy's encirclement, just return to Zigon Mountain. You can escape unscathed. The little devil has no choice. Only the watchtower can be built to seal off the lake surface. This building has a very peculiar feature. In the center position, facing the lake on the second floor, there was a room built. A piece of land rose abruptly above the shadowy river. The whole house felt like a forward base, can be suspended above the water's surface to observe the situation. All the buildings built by Chuanzi have flat surfaces on all sides. I've never heard of a house that has a raised section. The police were also puzzled. They knew this bulge was intentional, but no one understands the reasoning behind it. Later, this building was converted into a prison. This protruding house became the crime scene. No one who moved in has ever lived to tell the tale. At this point, the prison guard paused before continuing. This room had already been sealed off, but he had once seen a prisoner with his own eyes. Locked in this room, even though I know there are problems. Also locked the prisoner inside. It's because this criminal is truly heinous. To kill his own father for money. Even in prison, he raped his cellmate. The leader was furious and put him in confinement. The location was chosen to be this room. At that time, it was this prison guard who personally locked the inmate inside. Surprisingly, this criminal has not changed his ways. He also tried to provoke the prison guard. The prison guard was immediately enraged. Let him be locked in the room. Unexpectedly, the guard had just left. The imprisoned convict sensed that something was off. "It feels like there's something behind me." Looking back, startled immediately. Then they desperately shouted for help. Let the guard release him. "They say there are ghosts in this room." The prison guard in the control room heard a sound. "I want to go back and take a look," but was stopped by a cully. "There's no need to go back. Just check the surveillance footage." So the two of them pulled up the surveillance footage. The prisoner stood alone in the cell, panicking and shouting, "Help me, please! There is a monster in this room." The prison guards didn't know what he was mumbling about. But the next second, the direction the criminal is facing, a huge shadow suddenly appeared. A humanoid fish monster suddenly appeared in a cell. It seems harmless, but the next second he unexpectedly stuck out his long tongue, exposing sharp fangs. The criminal collapsed on the ground, just about to turn and flee. The fish monster unexpectedly extended its fin, transforming it into an arm, pulled the criminal's head. Then, little by little, they dragged the criminal to the window of the cell, until the criminal was stuck in the small window. The whole body is suspended in mid-air, unable to struggle at all. Even the steel bars of the window began to deform. About a minute had passed like this. The criminal was brutally taken by the fish monster, dragged out from that narrow window. The prison guard in front of the monitor was instantly stunned, because the criminal was completely blown out by the window. The cell is covered in blood and entrails. At this point, The prison guards still felt lingering fear. Since that day, they no longer dared to use that cell to hold prisoners. The prison guard didn't know what that fish monster was. The water area behind the prison is very eerie. The water there is very foul. But the fish inside are fat and big. Every year during heavy rains, standing on the rooftop spire, you can see that each of those fish is 2 meters long. They all look pretty similar to sharks. Chuenzi's classical language couldn't help but break out in a cold sweat. The scene described by the prison guard. It resembles the place where strange creatures grow as recorded in the Liangxing Feng Shui Bureau. In theory, giant mountain, great lake, deep sea, dense forest. These places all have the conditions to produce giant beasts. But very few people know. And the city also has an environment suitable for giant beasts to thrive. The rabbit demon previously slain by the demon hunter Qin Yu. These animals are much larger than their peers. However, these giant beasts are mainly born from special environments created by Feng Shui, although the ability is both strange and powerful. But life is not long, far inferior to the rat demon that has lived for over 100 years. Even without Qin Yu's intervention, these demons violated the natural laws. Soon it will summon the thunder and unleash the earth's fury, ultimately met a tragic end. And behind this prison there are mountains. Water accumulated in the middle, forming a lake. Originally, the energy of heaven and earth would create a perfect cycle. However, the cell suspended above the water just happened to intersect. Thus, the size of the fish in the lake changes dramatically due to energy. Master Liao clearly recognized the Feng Shui issues of this place. So they had a greenhouse built above the suspended prison cell. In this way, energy can still return to the heavens and the earth. The energy in the lake has been depleted. Soon, those big fish and strange happenings will disappear on their own. Yu Jingwen's words are truly remarkable, because Mr. Liao said the same thing. You truly are a family. The greenhouse is now built. Just wait for the big fish in the lake to die out. Hearing the praise for Yu Jing, Chuenzi felt a bit shy. You can see the Feng Shui layout here. But if I hadn't seen the greenhouse beforehand, it's hard to think of such a brilliant way to break the deadlock just by relying on the string. However, Yu Jing felt that Chuenzi was being modest. A bizarre murder case occurred right before Yu Jing's eyes. But they couldn't understand why. Even the Feng Shui master we consulted before couldn't figure it out. Chuenzi and Liuopi heard that they were the most famous Feng Shui masters in Dongling City. Isn't that the fake Taoist priest? Yutai immediately shouted, "It's him! That guy is quite well known. But I always feel he is not even 1/10 as capable as Master Liao." Chuenzi suddenly became excited. Speaking of the last time when Tai Sui brought wealth, I have seen him again. At that time, the counterfeit Taoist priest displayed great power, then got beaten by Taisui and was left searching for teeth all over the ground. Yu Jing immediately let out a groan. Chuenzi suddenly had crows flying wildly above his head. So awkward. Yu Jing couldn't help but think, this guy is probably just a bit dim-witted. So I quickly continued talking about Master Liao. Since the incident in that cell, but Yu Jing cannot neglect her duties just because of a criminal's words. Lai Ma urged Master Liao to hurry back to the cell. Master Liao confidently said to Yu Jing, "Every August 15 here, people will have bone lumps of various sizes on their heads. And no matter how it's treated, it can't be resolved. But after just 4 days, the bone bag will automatically disappear." Yu Jing was suddenly startled, couldn't help but stammer, "So what?" However, Master Liao calmly turned around and left. Only one sentence remains. Go check if those people all have buck teeth. If you've figured it out, you can come to me to resolve the issue with this cell." Yujing was immediately stunned on the spot. I can't help but think of what happened in the past. A criminal came to him and said, "The guy in the upper bunk has another bump on his head." Yujing felt quite helpless. This kind of thing happens every year. This illness is neither contagious nor curable. Completely at a loss. At this moment, Master Lyo mentioned the rat constellation. Yujing hurried to check the files. Those people are indeed like rats and sheep. But what does this illness have to do with rats? A terrible disease is spreading in this prison. Every once in a while, someone will appear. A dense cluster of bone growths covered the top of his head. One day, Lyo Fan trapped in prison. As I passed by the cell sealed with tape, suddenly realized that this room seemed to have treasures. So he asked Yujing, "Is it true that every first day of the lunar month and on August 15 in prison, then someone will get a bump on their head? It will automatically dissipate after 4 days." Yujing was very surprised. He actually got it right. Lyo Fan then asked him to go back and check. "Are these people all rat sheep?" Yutai went back to check. It turns out to be true. These long-bagged people are indeed all mouse sheep. This immediately stunned the prison warden. Immediately convinced, I personally went to Mr. Lyo's cell. Inquire about relevant matters. At that moment, Mr. Lyo calmly told the prison warden, "This matter is not difficult to resolve. Just need to prepare 2 common items from daily life. In the second year, no one will have lumps on their heads anymore. But that's still not enough. I want to eliminate this kind of thing. We still need the cooperation of the Yujing. Carry out a major project according to his requirements." Afterward, the warden acted according to Mr. Lyo's wishes. A large greenhouse was built at the location near Hu in the prison. And strange things never happened in that house again. But before that, Mr. Lyo once took the Yujing family into that room. At that moment, when they opened the door, a rich fragrance wafted towards me, almost made Yujing faint from the smoke. The floor of the cell was unexpectedly full. A lump of blue, cushiony material. Mr. Lyo picked up a piece from the ground. "This is called Bai Yubo. It is a spice similar to Long Xian Zhang. It has extremely high medicinal value." Yumaimin did not know what Long Xian was. Uncle Lyo left me feeling confused. Uncle Lyo continued to explain. Previously, he discovered something unusual about this room. It was precisely the unique fragrance of this white jade treasure that was detected. The price of 1 gram of white jade in the black market. It's about the same price as 1 gram of Tian Huang stone. This place is filled with white jade treasures. Enough to buy the entire prison. That's why he said there was treasure in this cell. Yume and the others were surprised to hear this. I just realized the value of this thing. Immediately call someone to come and collect these treasures for submission to the state. Xuanzi had some questions upon hearing this. This prison cell is sealed tightly. Where did all these things come from? Yutai explained. Xuanzi has never been to this cell, so I don't know the structure of the cell. According to Mr. Lyo, that was a trap room set up by a master, also known as the coffin house. This kind of house is specifically designed to lure spirits. That's why Bai Yu chooses to seek treasure in the coffin house. The reason the coffin house stands out as a cube, except for the white jade to climb. Inside the wall, there are also bought sheep horn bones. I was surprised to find antlers in the house. Xuanzi suddenly realized, because this thing is recorded in Fengmen Qishu, a type of Lu Ban number. Master Liu had explained it to them at that time, but Yu Jing did not understand at that time. So I would like to ask Chuenzi, what exactly is this horned bone? Chuenzi explained. The sheep horn bone is not made from sheep horns, but instead take the leg bone of the sheep, after enduring wind, sun, and rain for 47 days. Then place it inside the sheep horn and seal it into the wall. After being sealed into the wall like this, people born in the year of the sheep will unknowingly have their heads against the wall. It was like grinding a sheep's horn. That's why it's called the sheep horn bone. Those with lumps on their heads are also affected by the horned bones. Moreover, this horn bone is one of the spells of the bricklayer. Yu Jing immediately agreed. Those born in the year of the sheep say that as soon as they get close to that house, you will unconsciously walk along the wall, and it will keep rubbing its head against the wall. Now think back. This behavior is truly bizarre. Chuenzi felt that if he wasn't mistaken, when the Japanese army captured local bricklayers to build the fortifications, among them was a craftsman who was well versed in sheep horn bone. They couldn't resist. Only the ram's horn bones can be buried in the wall, to teach a lesson to these Japanese soldiers. Yujing was amazed after hearing that. In the past, he always thought that ancient arts were superstition. Hard to believe that all of this is true. Chuenzi proudly laughed and said, "Ancient techniques are indeed real. If the officer doesn't believe it, he can demonstrate it live. Just a cigarette, but from the officer." Chuenzi could freely control one of his arms. Yu Jing waved his hands repeatedly, saying, "No need, no need. I'm really scared of this group of experts. Let's talk about Mr. Liu again." At that time, he also instructed Yu Jing to prepare 2 items. They are iron nails and young boy's urine. Uncle Liu asked them who had children. The 2 Yu Jing present both stated that they have. Master Liu instructed the 2 of them to return home, collect the child's urine, then stick the iron nail with the urine of a young boy, nail into these walls polished to a shine by people. Once these lamb horns are completed, they will naturally be unraveled. From now on, people born in the year of the sheep will no longer have bumps on their heads. The 2 Yujing immediately complied after hearing that. The matter of the sheep horn bone has been resolved, but the issue of monsters killing people in this house has not yet been resolved. Uncle Liu couldn't help but look at the whitefish leaping out of the lake outside the window. A dismemberment murder occurred in this cell. The source is the strange fish in the lake outside the suspended cell. Master Liu couldn't help but ask Yu Jing, "Have you ever thought about hunting the white fish in the lake?" Who knew Yu Jing said she had applied. But the people of Dongling City disagreed. Those elderly folks still say that the giant fish in East Lake is a good omen, not only protesting against the hunting. Still feed those big fish every day. Qi Yu Ting is not a fool either. I realized long ago that this lake was strange. Some criminals and Yu Jing always liked to rub their heads against the wall. Every August 15 I get a head full of bumps. Later, Yu Jing invited a professional Taoist priest. That is the deist priest of Yincheng on Zigan Mountain. But it cannot solve the problem of the sheep horn bone at all. And someone has died in this cell. Imagine the fish in East Lake growing like sharks. These whitefish definitely have a problem. Recently, there was a person in a long coat. Bring a hammer to the lakeside to catch fish. Yu Jing saw him, but didn't pay attention. Master Liu immediately thought of the demon hunter, Qin Yu. He is a specialized demon-slaying officer. Then I asked Yu Jing to say, "If you see that person, please do not stop them. If he encounters difficulties, please lend him a hand, because he is eliminating harm for the people. Speak up." Master Lyo pointed outside the window, proposed to set up a large tent above the cell. This will deplete the energy in the lake, prevent the big fish from turning into a monster. If the common people come to ask you, this can condense the essence of the big fish. May it bless the prison with peace. The old lady was indeed fooled by this set of words. But before leaving, he specifically reminded Yu Jing, "You must take good care of the divine beast in the lake." But the common people do not know that the big fish in the lake can eat humans. At this point, Yu Jing has finished recounting Master Lyo's life in prison. Xuanzi and Rocky had no choice but to say goodbye and head back. But the two of them sat in the car feeling a bit awkward. Rocky asked Xuanzi to stop the car. He wants to come down for some fresh air. Xuanzi was worried that Liuoqi might do something rash. Although Rocky's betrayal is infuriating, I will never collude with Liu Lao Er. However, as an old hand, Rocky saw it very clearly. Liu Lao Er is an extremely formidable person in terms of wealth, power, and influence. Even if Xuanzi can resist the temptation of money and power, Liu Lao Er can still continuously intimidate the string. Many times, a person in the martial world has no control over their own fate, especially when they were always flattering. The man in the suit and glasses protecting the string. When he shows his true colors, he's a top assassin. Xuanzi understands this principle as well, but he doesn't believe there isn't even a hint of clarity. From Rocky's perspective, it is indeed so. Even someone as skilled as Master Lyo cannot compare with someone whose annual income is $500 billion, competing with the world's richest. This is a world made up of money and, even though Master Lyo's abilities are extraordinary, they can also be driven or even controlled by interests. If there are gods in this world, then Liu Leijiu is one of the deities, can control others' life and death at will. Xuanzi was extremely puzzled. Since you are so clear about the horror of Liu Lao Er, why is Rocky so determined to kill him? Moreover, Rocky is the nephew of old man Liu Er. That being said, but Liu Er killed his biological father, Liu Heichao. Rocky became suddenly excited. He must take responsibility for this. Does he still see me, his nephew, in his eyes? Then the two turned their heads to the side. It's hard to communicate with you. Then let's not talk about it. But soon, Xuanzi shouted, "Liuoji, where did you take the rat demon?" "I went to bring him back." Rocky let out a cold snort. "The rat ran away by itself. It has nothing to do with me." Xuanzi was immediately taken aback. Ever since the rat demon was injured, just never stayed in a hotel. And the last time we met, after Love Mountain and Liang Kixing parted ways for a lifetime, Xuanzi joined the special investigation team. Then the rat demon disappeared. Xuanzi furrowed his brows. "I can't help but think of the incident where the mouse demon was injured. After the injury healed, it disappeared. The wound of the rat demon seemed to be an old injury. Is the rat demon out for revenge?" In the woods of the mountains, a white-boned Taoist suddenly appeared. The moment the materials are ready, the white-boned deist seems to have discovered it. Xuanzi and Liuoqi in the thicket. Brother turned his head. Suddenly, Jing pounced on them fiercely. Just now, Xuanzi and the deist Master Rocky. I just visited Uncle Lyo at Dongling City prison. On the way back, Xuanzi suddenly remembered it had been quite a few days. Haven't seen the rat demon lately. Since the last time the rat demon's injuries improved, he quietly disappeared. Xuanzi and Rocky thought of it at the same time. The rat demon may have gone to seek revenge on the one who harmed him. Rocky didn't expect this place. Who could possibly hurt the mouse demon? Skepticism of Xuanzi. It might be the work of that old Taoist from Silver City. But Rocky sneered. Just that fake Taoist. It's impossible to hurt the mouse demon at all. But Chuenzi rebutted. The entire Dongling city belongs to. This Silver City has the greatest reputation. Even those in prison have to ask him for help. Moreover, they are in Dongling City. I don't know any other talented individuals either. In any case, let's find this Silver City and ask around. Is the injury of the mouse demon related to him? Just as Chuenzi was about to get on the bus, Rocky suddenly called out to him. Chuenzi turned back to ask him what was wrong. Rocky hesitated to speak. After hesitating for half the day, I finally turned my head and asked Chuenzi, "Will you still treat him like a brother?" Rocky previously attempted to steal Uncle Lio's secret manual, even treating Chuenzi that way. But Chuenzi just chuckled. He punched Rocky on the shoulder. "Tell him not to overthink." Chuenzi understood that he was also eager to take revenge for his grandfather. That's why such a desperate measure was taken. If Uncle Lio agrees. He was even willing to give away those 3 books. Copy it out and send it to Rocky. Rocky knew that this was simply impossible. Uncle Lio's unique skills cannot be shared with others. Chuenzi laughed heartily after hearing that. Gently patted Rocky's shoulder. Looking at Chuenzi's playful grin, Rocky felt a bit annoyed. Just now in the prison, he promised Uncle Lio to take good care of Chuenzi. Right now, this little rookie is still grinning all day long. This is the time to grow and develop. Chuenzi listened to these words. I can only helplessly pick at my fingers. Then Rocky finished speaking. Chuenzi revealed a confident smile. Extend a fist to bump fists with Rocky. Please take care of me, Rocky, from now on. Rocky suddenly felt a bit confused upon seeing him like that. Suddenly a playful smile appeared. Reconcile with Chuenzi with a high five under the sunset. At that time, the stream. I really want to be good brothers with Rocky for a lifetime. It's just that the world is unpredictable. No one expected what happened next. They are destined to part ways, embarking on different life journeys. The two then got into the car and headed to Zigon Mountain, where deist Yincheng was located. The scenery along the way is beautiful, but the vast Zigon Mountain, it seems that only their car is moving. The once bustling Zigon Mountain, the area is completely empty. This scene is truly bizarre. You should know that this is the largest scenic spot in Dongling City. After that, they drove for a long time. Finally saw a sanitation worker walking towards me at the foot of the mountain. Chuenzi and Rocky pull over to the side. Get off the car and ask the sanitation worker what happened here. Why are there no tourists in the mountains at this time? The sanitation workers were also very surprised. At Biggis, they still don't know. 5 days ago, a killer has appeared in this mountain. Shoot anyone you see in the head. Killed 7 people in a row. And the most terrifying thing is, the 7 bodies that were beaten to death have completely vanished. Still haven't found it. Chuenzi Liuoki was very shocked after hearing this. The body actually disappeared. The sanitation worker heard a rumor that the body was eaten by that madman. Moreover, this incident just happened recently, so no one dares to come here now. Chuenzi heard that it's a case of humans eating humans. The more I listen, the more ridiculous it seems. Then the sanitation worker waved goodbye. Before leaving, he still advised them, if you want to go up the mountain, it's better to be cautious, because we might encounter that man-eating monster again. The two listened upon hearing this. I couldn't help but feel a bit awkward. After much hesitation, in the end, I decided to go into the mountains and take a look. If it's a gun, there's no need to worry at all. because in front of the Taoist master Rocky, even the most skilled shooter can't fire a single bullet. So the two continued up the mountain. The deeper you go into the mountains, the two of them felt increasingly strange. In theory, there should be some like them. Unknowing outsiders come to this place, but they have been gone for so long, not even a shadow of a person was seen. Chuenzi's doubt. The old priest in Silver City probably isn't at the temple today either. At that moment, Rocky suddenly heard a rustling sound coming from the bushes. Chuenzi also noticed the movement in the grass. So the two of them bent forward, pushed aside the bushes, looked out and saw, unexpectedly discovered a scene of harm. A skeletal figure was seen sitting alone at the end of its life. Suddenly, the white-boned Taoist seemed to have noticed them, slowly turned his head. Friction of the bones. It even let out a strange clucking sound. The duo was planning to escape. Suddenly, the white-boned deist leaped forward. Chuenzi and Luoki were surrounded by a group of mice. What's even scarier is that this group of mice is being controlled by someone. Suddenly, a white-boned Taoist rushed through the air, quickly paused outside the mouse swarm, staring intently at Chuenzi and Luoki, before the white-boned deist issued the order to attack. All the mice gritted their teeth and stood on their whiskers. But these mice are nothing. The hardest to deal with is Begu Deorin. Rocky said quickly, "Do not confront the white-boned deist directly for now. Soon he will perform the slippery body technique on the mouse. Seize the opportunity to rush out." "Understood," Chuenzi responded with a sound. Then I heard Rocky shout, "Raid, charge with me." The sliding technique is a spell that causes enemies to trip. Not only can it deal with humans, even a mouse with 4 paws cannot escape. Extremely practical, but Rocky and Chuenzi just came out of the mouse group, but heard a sizzling sound coming from deep in the mountains. The two were suddenly taken aback. Chuenzi hesitantly said, "This sounds like the voice of the mouse waste." At that moment, the mice quickly and orderly scattered in all directions. Chuenzi was also taken aback. It seems to be a command from the mouse waste. Suddenly a creaking sound came from behind. From within the body of the white-boned man, dozens of smaller mice emerged. It turns out this is a skeleton. The only reason it moves is that a mouse is carrying it from below. Rocky couldn't help but wonder what the bone deist really was. That is someone who practices the white-bone demon technique. At this moment, the direction the rats left began to make a hissing sound again. Chuenzi immediately shouted, "Is that you, Xiao? Come back with me." Rocky quickly grabbed the string. Let him calm down a bit. The mouse waste is not human after all. His cleverness and cuteness are just an act. It's just to save my life. Now it seems fortune has entered the prison. The law body of the mouse waste has been restored by absorbing the golden soul. Once again I became the rat king here. How could Shaya be willing to come back and be your pet? However, Chuenzi really misses Shaya. I don't understand why Shaya left without saying a word. Rocky could only comfort Chuenzi. Actually, it is inevitable that Shaya will leave. He was defeated by the Dever. But it did not hurt Chuenzi because of that. I really have feelings for the strings now. Otherwise, the two want to escape from this tribute mountain. It will inevitably be a fierce battle. Then Chuenzi called Officer Shen. Quickly came to a conclusion. There are no traces of decomposition left on the skeleton and clothes. Perhaps it has long been devoured by the group, unable to determine who the deceased is. The only thing we can confirm is that the deceased was wearing the deist robe of the Wentian Guan. So we need to ask the heavenly official to investigate. Officer Shen couldn't help but ask Chuenzi, A murder occurred here recently. Many people are afraid to come. What brings the two of you here? Chuanzi suspects that the culprit who injured Shuang's waist is deist Yin Chang, but it cannot be explicitly stated. Rocky also began to provide cover. I came to find deist Yin Cheng for a matter. Soon, several people arrived at the Wenxiangyuan sect. Xuanzi suddenly stopped in his tracks. Officer Shen's expression suddenly became serious. It seems something happened here. Luoki also does not go through a spellcaster.